Catherine O'Hara never set out to become rich, and that single truth explains almost everything about the fortune she quietly built over the course of her life. In an industry where ambition is often loud, frantic, and hungry for attention, Catherine moved with a rare kind of patience. She didn't chase Hollywood's approval. She didn't beg for relevance as trends shifted. She didn't reinvent herself every decade to stay visible. She didn't brand herself as a star. Instead, she showed up. She worked, and she kept working, year after year, project after project, role after role. While others burned brightly and faded just as fast, Catherine slowly stacked something far more valuable than headlines: respect, trust, and stability. By the time the world finally noticed how large her fortune had become, it was already built too solidly to ignore. To understand why Catherine O'Hara's success carries such emotional weight for her family, you first have to understand where she came from. She was born into a large Irish-Canadian household in Toronto, a home that was lively, crowded, and filled with humor, but never indulgent. There was laughter, but there were also rules. There was encouragement, but there was also discipline. Creativity was welcomed, but responsibility came first. Money wasn't something you assumed would always be there. Stability mattered. Hard work mattered. You learned early in that environment that nothing in life was guaranteed. If you wanted something, you earned it. And if you were fortunate enough to find success, you didn't waste it or take it lightly. Long before Hollywood ever knew her name, Catherine learned how to survive without applause. That lesson shaped her entire relationship with money, fame, and security. She never assumed another job would come. She never believed success was permanent. Even when she began making a name for herself through Second City and later SCTV, the reality was far from glamorous. The paychecks were small, the schedules were brutal, the expectations were unforgiving. Comedy at that level demanded relentless energy and emotional resilience. It wasn't about being celebrated, it was about surviving. And that survival mindset trained Catherine to treat every opportunity as temporary, fragile, and precious. Ironically, that very mindset would later make her incredibly wealthy. In those early years, Catherine wasn't thinking about building a fortune or creating a legacy. She was thinking about staying employed, about staying sharp, about proving she deserved to be in rooms where women were often underestimated or overlooked. She was surrounded by louder personalities, bigger egos, and faster talkers. To survive, she relied on preparation, intelligence, and adaptability. Every sketch was an audition, every performance was a test, every character was proof that she belonged. Over time, she built a reputation not just for being funny, but for being reliable, professional, prepared. That reputation became her first real asset. Long before money entered the picture, trust did. When film opportunities finally arrived, they didn't come with instant superstardom. Catherine wasn't cast as the glamorous lead or the box office draw. More often, she played supporting roles: mothers, wives, eccentric side characters, the emotional backbone of the story. These were the kinds of roles Hollywood rarely celebrates in the moment, but never forgets over time. Films like Beetlejuice and Home Alone didn't just give Catherine visibility, they gave her permanence. These weren't disposable projects, they were cultural fixtures, films that would be watched again and again by new generations, and with every rewatch came another reminder of her presence and another quiet check. What most people misunderstand about Hollywood wealth is that the biggest money rarely comes all at once. It accumulates slowly, invisibly, through residuals, reruns, syndication deals, international licensing, and voice work. Catherine O'Hara's fortune grew through exactly those channels. While other stars chased massive upfront paydays and spent them just as quickly, Catherine collected smaller amounts again and again, year after year, decade after decade. She didn't depend on one hit, she depended on consistency. By the time people began estimating her net worth, the foundation had already been laid quietly and carefully. Away from the spotlight, Catherine was also building something far more important than wealth: a grounded life. She married Beau Welch, a production designer who understood Hollywood's machinery but didn't worship it. Together, they made deliberate choices to keep their family insulated from celebrity chaos. Their children were raised without paparazzi at the door, without entitlement, without the illusion that fame equals value. That decision alone protected Catherine's fortune from becoming a burden. Instead of money creating distance, it created safety. Many celebrity families fracture under the pressure of wealth and attention. Catherine's didn't, because money was never the centerpiece of their lives. Stability was, privacy was, values were. Her children didn't see her mother as a star. They saw her as a professional, someone who took her craft seriously, someone who respected the audience, someone who never assumed success was owed. That example mattered more than any inheritance ever could. As the years passed, Catherine's career didn't fade, it evolved. When film roles slowed, voice acting opened new doors. Animated films, television guest appearances, smaller but steady projects that kept her relevant and earning. She didn't disappear when trends changed, she adapted. That adaptability is one of the underrated skills in the entertainment industry. Catherine never let pride trap her in one category, and because of that, her earning years stretched far beyond what Hollywood typically allows women of her generation. Then came Schitt's Creek. What began as a modest Canadian television series slowly turned into a global phenomenon. Catherine O'Hara's portrayal of Moira Rose wasn't just memorable, it was iconic. The wigs, the accent, the exaggerated elegance, and beneath it all, a surprising emotional core. Audiences didn't just laugh, they connected. They saw something fearless and fully formed. And financially, the impact was undeniable. Streaming changed everything. Suddenly, Catherine's work wasn't confined to one network or one time slot. It lived everywhere. It traveled across borders. Every rewatch generated value. Every meme reinforced relevance. Every award renewed her standing in the industry. By the time Schitt's Creek ended, Catherine O'Hara wasn't just respected, she was essential. And that translated directly into long-term wealth. But inside her family, the emotional reaction had little to do with money. It was about timing. Watching Catherine finally receive universal recognition after decades of quiet excellence was deeply moving. There were tears not because she had become richer, but because she had finally been seen. Her family had always known her worth. Now the world did too. Today, Catherine O'Hara's fortune reflects a lifetime of restraint. She invested in property not for status, but for peace. She structured her earnings to protect future generations. She avoided excess. She didn't gamble on trends. That discipline ensured her success would outlive her career, and that realization carries emotional weight for those closest to her. There is something profoundly moving about knowing that a parent's work will continue